or random attempt is a very good thing to do, honestly. I mean, I get it, why they did it, but I don't really like it. I don't even remember how this dungeon works. You just go through, right? I don't need to kill anything here, correct? That's what I say. I think it's a good way in the right direction. But I don't really see... I mean, there has to be improvements. Especially like all the sorcerers build, like the multiple chain lightning projectiles and stuff like that. It's basically all gonna be much worse than just going for like shadow and poison damage, which is 30% damage with Tar Russia. So everything else is pretty much irrelevant. Other than in the Frozen Orb build. And in the Frozen Orb build, it's also probably not so much better. But it's just because there's like the synergy with the conjurations that 2 Frozen Orbs can spawn 2 conjurations. Which I didn't even verify, but it just feels like it does. Yeah, that would be a good idea. Adding tempering durability. Or like, you know, make it a rare drop to add tempering durability. You know, maybe just drop it by like, you know, give it like a very, very low drop chance. That would probably be a good idea. Is this even the right way? Wait, am I going wrong here? Okay, it's the right way. So as you can see, I could have done this dungeon like way earlier. It's like absolutely no challenge at all. Russia Ring just needs to be removed from the game. I hate that item. I don't think Endless Pit is an endgame at all. But, you know, it would be, but the problem is the damage scaling. So, oh, Frostbite Glyph. The problem I have with the Endless Pit is that the one-shot mechanics. So the damage scaling is just broken. Right? There's mobs which just do like one-shots through all damage reduction no matter how defensive you build. There's just mobs which are going to one-shot you. And I feel like that is not the right way to do. I feel like damage is supposed to gradually get more over time, right? So, like, not to have one mob do like 1,000,000 damage, but have it do 100k damage within 2 seconds, right? So you need to have the chance to mitigate the damage, and then Endless Pit would be an absolute endgame. But as soon as damages get into like the one-shot mechanics, I mean obviously if you have not capped armor or no capped resistances or like no damage reduction whatsoever, you still should not get one-shot. Maybe at some point you should get one-shot, but you should not just be able to sustain the damage. Right now the meta is just crowd control everything so you never get hit and be as fast as possible. And that's a stupid meta. Like, it doesn't even matter. Like, and it does also not help adding dodge, because you know what, even if you have 75% dodge, you're still gonna get one-shot 25% of the time, which is just stupid. So I feel like this has to be fixed from the core. The core damage of monsters has to be fixed. Give monsters more attack speed, give them less damage. And then give monsters more HP, spawn more monsters as well. Like, you know, every difficulty you could spawn 1% more monsters and gives them 10% more HP. But, you know, also increase the damage by a couple of percentage points. But just make the baseline damage so that there's not monsters which just randomly one-shot you. Just give every monster like increasing damage. Give monsters dots. Make monsters with dots. So we have to be able to, you know, so we have to sustain damage, and we have to sustain high amounts of damage. For example, like life reach, right? We have life on hit now, which is great. right? This is life on hit is a form of damage sustain, but there's one damage you cannot sustain. It's being one shot. So why would I need life on hit if stuff one shots me? It's like useless. Same with dodge. Dodge is useless if stuff one shots me. Same with damage reduction. Damage reduction is useless. It's useless if stuff one shots me. So you have all these mechanics in place now, but you still cannot get rid of the random one-shot mechanics. And if you just fix this damage scaling, then you could do a good endgame with stuff like Endless Pit. And then people would build damage reduction and feel good about it. Then you wouldn't have to be forced to build like a hyper teleport build just to be able to get through a dungeon. Then you would have to be forced to build defensive builds, you know, get your life leech, get your barrier, like all these things which all the other games have. And that would be great. But they gotta fix this. Yeah, you could, for example, do like, get a debuff which stacks, right? So, get a debuff every 15 seconds, you take 1% more damage or something like that. So you cannot, but then make the base damage of the mobs relatively low and scale their hit points like very high. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways to do stuff like this, but the one shot has to come down first. That is the most important. Like even, you know, the bosses. Like, they did the bosses, which spawn shadow clones, which simply have one-shot mechanics. Like, that is not an enjoyable system. That is something which is useless. You don't want this. It's exactly the opposite. Make them spawn shadow clones, which do small amounts of damage, but stay in the arena. And if you're in the arena for like 2 minutes, there's going to be so many damage, like shadow clones, that you just cannot sustain the damage anymore. That's a good system. But, you know, just putting stuff in there which one-shots you is just a stupid system. It just makes you either having to play Infinite Flame Shield or, you know, stack so much damage that you can kill the boss within 15 seconds so he doesn't spawn the shadow clones which one-shot you. It's just, I don't know, not the right way to do it. Here's the last guy. Oh. Yeah, the Conjuration Frozen Orb synergy is very, very weird. It doesn't make any sense at all. I mean, it's fun, but from like an RPG kind of view, it's like, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense at all. Exactly, so the way I was getting around this is I would be watching the environment, and, you know, then the boss does this little seal on the ground, which spawns the shadow clone. And, you know, like 1 or 2 seconds after he spawned that seal, I would basically just put Flame Shield on. And then if I had no Flame Shield, I would just teleport to the other, like, the other corner of the arena and try to avoid it. Yeah, it just feels bad. So let's see if this boss does anything. I don't think so. I should actually change Fireball. Yeah, that's not gonna be very difficult. I can already see this. I mean, so they didn't change the difficulty, right? They just give us more powerful items, but they didn't adjust the difficulty of these Capstone dungeons. So obviously this is piece of cake, right?